everyone. Welcome back once again. It's time to read. This is Masters of the Universe, the Caverns of Fear. Or I guess it's just Caverns of Fear. There's no the. This is a little golden book under the Super Golden Adventure line. I assume that's what it says underneath this Sears tag, perhaps? But maybe not. That line might not have existed yet. This is one of the early Masters of the Universe storybooks. It looks like it was $1.95 from Sears, and I kind of want to keep this. I know it's kind of jank, but like I kind of want to keep this price tag on it because it's just so classy. Looking at the back, this is high adventure, exciting action, and spell-binding magic. Mighty heroes defend their world against the forces of evil. Yes, it's Masters of the Universe. I have read another Masters of the Universe golden book here on the channel before. That was called The Secret of the Dragon's Egg, and it was one of the later books after this initial run. So it looks like interesting. We have 4 books here in this initial run. The Sword of Skeletor. The what's that say? The Thief of Castle Grayskull and The Trap. Something I learned that I think is kind of interesting is that I think generally speaking, these little golden books are not based on any episodes, which is kind of distinct in that like lots of storybooks from popular series would be. But these are much more driven by the storytelling from the He-Man mini comics that came packed in with the toys rather than the television series, the Filmation series. And notably, you should see that in that Adam doesn't appear and there's no Orko, right? Because in the mini comics, He-Man didn't have an alter ego of Adam. He was much more like a wandering barbarian kind of a type. But who's to say? In that Secret of the Dragon's Egg one that I read, there was at least a sequence where he appeared as Prince Adam. Then again, like I said, that was a later book, so perhaps they had started to incorporate some of the elements from the show into the stories here. But that's kind of exciting that these are like original stories, and like look at this this cover art especially is like so cool looking. I love it. I love it. We got He-Man fighting Skeletor in a cave, obviously. We've got Teela being grabbed by Trapjaw, absolutely one of my favorite villains, and Man-at-Arms there, ready to back He-Man up. Oh, so exciting. Okay. If you're ready, let's dive into this book, Caverns of Fear, which I've never read. Masters of the Universe, Caverns of Fear, by Mary Carey. Illustrated by Al McWilliams. The great Castle Grayskull loomed on the horizon, seeming to grin. Locked within the fortress since the time of the elders were the mystical secrets of ages past. Legend foretold that whoever controlled Grayskull's halls would gain mastery over all the forces of the universe. As dawn broke, He-Man, powerful foe of the forces of evil, raced across the plains of Eternia astride the mighty Battle Cat. For the moment, at least, the strife-torn planet seemed almost peaceful. So He-Man seized the time to give the fighting tiger a vigorous workout. "What's this?" cried He-Man. "Why are you stopping?" He-Man spied the well then, not far from the castle wall. "Just like any spoiled kitten. Perhaps I will trade you for a Wind Raider." Battle Cat growled a pitiful growl. "Oh, very well," laughed He-Man, and he drew up a bucket of water. Clang, crash! "What is this I hear?" As the cat drank, strange sounds emerged from the well. "Warriors in combat? We shall soon see." At the bottom of the well, He-Man found a rushing stream. Beyond the stream was a passage, low and dark. "Caves!" exclaimed He-Man. "Once I heard it whispered that there were caves under Castle Grayskull, caves so deep that a man might be lost in them forever. The tale is true. He-Man started towards the tunnel. Suddenly, a monstrous shape rose from the water behind him. It was Merman, the dreaded Sea Lord. He tried to drag He-Man under the surface of the stream. "Back, you monster!" shouted He-Man, knowing even as he spoke that the evil Skeletor could not be far away. But that foul sea demon clung fast. He-Man was too close to swing his power sword, but he managed to free one arm, which he brought down on Merman's head. Thwack! Merman fell into the stream, stunned. The current caught him and carried him away. He-Man raced into the black and beckoning passageway. Somewhere in the caverns ahead, there was a battle going on. Moments later, He-Man found himself entering a huge underground chamber. Clang! Clack! In the chamber, He-Man saw his arch-enemy, Skeletor, Lord of Destruction. He was battling the warrior maiden Teela, who had seen him steal into the well and followed him into the caverns. "He-Man, thank heaven you're here," Teela said. "Skeletor plans to enter Castle Grayskull through this cavern." But as He-Man started forward, Skeletor's dreadful ally, Beast-Man, leapt onto him from above. "You'll not stop me this day, Beast-Man!" Oof! Beast-Man reeled backwards towards a deep pit in the floor of the cave. He teetered there for a moment, and then fell. He-Man snatched his sword from the dust where it had fallen, and found himself face to face with Skeletor.
Once again, you interfere with my plans, He-Man. This time we will put an end to your meddling forever.
The very ground shook as the swords of power clashed in battle. While He-Man and Skeletor faced off in their struggle, Trapjaw, Skeletor's henchman, took Teela by surprise. Clang! Clack! But that warrior woman was well trained, and Skeletor's servant found that he had a fight on his hands. Soon, however, Trapjaw regained the advantage. He seized Teela and swung around to face He-Man. "Yield, He-Man," he threatened as his steel arm tightened around her body. "Release her," boomed a voice from the mouth of the tunnel. Trapjaw turned to find Man-at-Arms approaching, swinging his mace. An instant later, Stratos, the winged warrior, soared into the cavern. With split-second timing, he lifted Teela out of harm's way. He-Man returned to the fight. He charged at Skeletor. As he swung the power sword, however, the fiendish Lord of Destruction vanished. A green mist hung where he had stood. There seemed no end to his magic powers. "We're all safe for now, my friends," said He-Man. "Thanks to you, Skeletor has fled. He has no stomach for even fights. Still, we must make sure that no one ever tries to enter Castle Grayskull this way again." He-Man's sword flashed out, again and again. He swung at the stone foundations in the cavern. There was a rumbling from above. The earth trembled as the walls began to cave in. The Masters of the Universe fled down the dark passageway to the well. Behind them, the caverns echoed and boomed as they filled with rocks and dirt. The underground passage to Castle Grayskull was gone now, sealed forever. Battlecat was waiting at the top of the well. "You are a faithful animal," said He-Man, waiting patiently all this time. "A clever animal, you mean," said Man-at-Arms. "It was he who found us in the forest. When we saw him alone, we were afraid for you. He led us here." "So," said He-Man, "a live cat is a better steed than a machine. He may need water, but there is much that he can do that a machine cannot." At this, Battlecat gave a great rumbling purr. Then the warriors parted. We've not seen the last of Skeletor, said He-Man, knowing the Lord of Destruction would strike again. We'll be ready for him, replied Tila, as a strange quiet fell over the plains of Eternia. And that is the end, my friends. Wow. What a simple but pretty good story. Simple but elegant, one might say. I don't know. I really liked the battle sequence. I liked that it had a number of the the villains in it, but that they were just like cameos was kind of interesting. I think that maybe with He-Man, I prefer it when they give you more with one specific villain, right? So like if you could see more of how Merman, what's his deal, or you could see more of Beastman controlling other beasts. Doesn't he have that power? I don't know. It's interesting, and it's interesting that they didn't like go into Grayskull or actually deal with any of the stuff on the inside of it. I'm not overly versed in the like background of the mini comics. At some point, I should sit down and read all those mini comics, but it's so I'm not totally aware of like what He-Man in the comics relationship is to like the sorceress. However, I thought they did a pretty good job here. It's interesting to see Stratos, because I feel like in the comics, wasn't he a villain and then he turned good, or that might have even been in the show. I think it was part of the storyline though, for sure. Cool though, cool. We got to see my favorite villain, Trapjaw. My favorite hero as a kid was Stratos. I know. I kind of hate him now. I don't hate him, but like, he's not my favorite. But it's always good to see Skeletor pulling off some zany magic. Like I said, a very simple story, but effective for a kid's book. That's for sure. Anyway, let me know what you think of this Masters of the Universe down in the comments below. Thanks very much for sticking around, and I'll catch you next time. Have a great day, everyone. So long.